Can one person's unwavering ethics truly lay the foundation for a global empire?
It's a huge question, isn't it?
It really is. And that's the compelling question at the heart of our deep dive today. The man we're focusing on, Narayana Murthy, the visionary behind Infosys.
Right. And Infosys, I mean, it wasn't just a company that helped ignite India's software revolution.
No, it fundamentally reshaped how the world saw Indian enterprise.
Exactly. And this story, it isn't merely about building some tech giant. It's more like a blueprint.
A blueprint for what, specifically?
Well, a blueprint for how values like, say, uncompromising integrity, humility, and a real deep-seated commitment to nation building.
Things often seen as maybe a bit quaint in cutthroat markets.
Precisely. How those were actually Infosys's most powerful strategic advantage, especially in a landscape that was, frankly, rife with the kind of corruption Murthy wanted to transcend.
Okay, so our mission today for you listening is to cut through the noise, give you a kind of shortcut to understanding how one man's vision, his integrity, and just sheer courage.
How that transformed not just an industry, but you could argue, an entire nation.
Yeah. We've pulled together a rich stack of sources, biographical insights, historical accounts of Infosys's journey.
And we're going to try and extract those core principles, those surprising moments, from his really impactful life for you.
So to really get the roots of Infosys's ethos, we need to look beyond the corporate titan.
Back to the beginning.
Exactly. Back to Narayana Murthy's remarkably humble beginnings. Born August 20th, 1946. Shidlaghatta, small town in Karnataka, India.
And his father was a high school teacher, so we're talking a middle-class upbringing, but one incredibly rich in values. That seems key.
It does. What's crucial to understand here, I think, is that even as a child, Murthy showed this deep love for mathematics, for logic.
And fairness. You mentioned fairness.
Yes, and a strong, almost innate sense of fairness. These weren't just like school subjects for him.
They sound like foundational parts of his character right from the start, sort of hinting at the principles he'd champion later.
And he pursued those interests rigorously. Studied at the National Institute of Engineering in Mysore. Then got his M.Tech from IIT Kanpur, one of India's top engineering schools, in '69.
Okay. But it's around here, isn't it, that his path takes a really defining turn?
It does, because despite having clear opportunities to go abroad, which many engineers did.
Yeah, that was the dream for many.
He made the crucial decision to stay in India.
And that wasn't just, oh, I prefer it here. It was a conviction, wasn't it? He famously said something like,
"Don't complain about the country if you're not ready to be part of its change."
That's it. Wow. That quote, it really captures his whole approach. Civic duty, personal responsibility. It defines so much of what came next.
A profound philosophy to actually live by. So his early career, he was at IIM Ahmedabad, worked on India's first time-sharing computer system there.
Right. But entrepreneurship called early on. His first attempt, Softronics.
Yeah, that one didn't quite take off, as often happens with first ventures.
Those early struggles, though, they often forged something important. And for Murthy, there was this really transformative experience soon after.
That Bulgaria incident.
Exactly. He was working in Paris on a project for a French firm, traveling through Bulgaria, then under communist rule.
And just arrested without cause.
Yeah. Held for 72 hours. No food, no water. Just completely arbitrary detention.
That's horrific.
Yeah.
Beyond the trauma, though, how does something like that shape you? Being stripped of rights, held without explanation, how did it influence his approach later?
Well, profoundly. It completely changed his ideological view. He described it himself. It transformed him from a confused leftist, as he put it, to becoming a compassionate capitalist. It wasn't just swapping labels.
No, it sounds like a deep, hard-won realization.
It was. The realization that capitalism with ethics could solve poverty, not just ideology. That awful experience basically crystallized his belief.
That economic growth, if coupled with strong moral principles, could be this powerful force for good.
Precisely. It laid the groundwork for, well, everything that Infosys became.
What an incredible turning point. And that belief system, forged from real hardship, it directly informed the birth of Infosys, 1981.
Yeah, Pune. Started with that modest sum, 10,000 rupees, borrowed from his wife, Sudha Murthy.
That initial investment from his wife, it wasn't just cash, was it? It feels like it symbolized a shared vision right from the get-go.
Absolutely. And the co-founders, Nandan Nilekani, Chris Gopalakrishnan, S.D. Shabila, Ashok Arora, K. Dinesh, N.S. Raghavan, they were all critical.
Right. But the really radical part, maybe, was the founding mission itself.
Which was?
Not just to build a business, but this bold mission to prove that Indians could build a truly world-class company.
Without playing the game, without the corruption that was often seen as, well, just the cost of doing business then.
Exactly, to do it clean.
And it was tough going at the start.
Oh, incredibly tough. Think about it. Early 80s India. No internet as we know it, no global offices set up, hardly any clients knocking on the door.
Yet they pushed on, with its almost obsessive focus, you said.
Yeah, on quality, on transparency, and just relentlessly delivering for the few clients they had. Must have required immense grit.
That must have. But it was that foundational resilience, that unwavering commitment to quality that let them really seize the moment later on.
When India's economy started opening up in the 90s.
Exactly. Infosys was perfectly positioned. They could take on global projects, hire these brilliant engineers, and crucially, build trust through consistent on-time delivery. That stood out.
And they really did start to stand out. Became the first Indian company listed on NASDAQ. Huge milestone.
Massive signal to the world.
But beyond that, things like the employee stock ownership plans, ESOPs. That was radical then, wasn't it?
Absolutely radical for India at the time, turning employees into millionaires. It wasn't just generosity, though.
No, it was smart strategy too, aligning everyone's interests with the company's long-term ethical growth. Imagine the commitment that fostered.
Unparalleled, probably. And this proactive approach, it extended to how they ran the company internally, too.
Like the Leadership Institute.
Yeah, the Infosys Leadership Institute set up specifically to groom future leaders grounded in those same ethics. And maybe even more striking.
Go on.
Adhering to generally accepted accounting principles GAAP long before it was legally required in India.
Wow. So voluntarily holding themselves to a higher global standard of transparency.
That's it. That dedication to integrity, it just made Infosys synonymous with Indian IT. And Murthy himself became its moral compass.
He certainly seems to embody that.
Yeah.
Can you give us maybe a more granular example where that moral compass really faced a tough test, maybe something day-to-day?
Sure. A powerful one is his absolute refusal to bribe officials or pay anything under the table, even when it meant huge, costly delays.
Like the telephone story.
Exactly. Waiting over a year just to get Infosys's first basic telephone connection because he flat out refused to pay the expected bribe.
A whole year for a phone line.
Can you imagine? That wasn't just patience. It was a non-negotiable stand on principle. And it set the tone for the entire company. No cutting corners.
And his guiding principle for the team was simple. When in doubt, disclose.
Sounds straightforward.
Deceptively so, maybe. In practice, navigating Indian bureaucracy in the 80s and 90s, where were the real friction points with that? Did that principle ever genuinely put Infosys at a disadvantage, even if it paid off later?
Oh, I'm sure it did in the short term, like the phone example, frustrating, slow. But the long-term payoff was immense.
How so?
It built this incredible reputation for trustworthiness. That attracted the best talent who wanted to work somewhere clean, and it attracted discerning global clients who valued reliability above all else.
So maybe Infosys grew slower in some ways initially.
Perhaps, but it grew on an unshakable foundation of trust. And Murthy himself, personally, even as Infosys became this giant.
He kept things simple, right?
Remarkably simple. Flew economy class, treated junior employees with genuine respect, famously cleaned his own table in the cafeteria.
Not just gestures then. Reflections of his core values.
Exactly, leading by example. He eventually retired in 2002, had a brief return in 2013 to help steer the ship for a bit, but consciously tried to stay out of boardroom politics after that.
His impact, though, it definitely stretched beyond the Infosys boardroom. And actually, Murthy's personal life, rooted in those same values, offers another interesting facet.
You mean his family?
Yeah. His wife, Sudha Murthy, she's a hugely successful author and philanthropist herself, and their daughter, Sudha Murthy.
Now, the First Lady of the UK, married to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
It's quite a story, a testament maybe to living life with consistent principles across different spheres.
It is, but Murthy's real legacy, I think, it extends far beyond his family or even Infosys itself, huge as that is.
What would you say is the core of that legacy?
He proved unequivocally that ethics can scale in business, that it's not just possible, but potentially advantageous. He showed India and the world that huge success doesn't require moral shortcuts.
That fundamentally reshaped the narrative around Indian business, didn't it?
Yeah. Completely.
Yeah.
And it continues to inspire generations. Build with integrity.
So Narayana Murthy didn't just build Infosys. He built, you could say, immense trust in the whole Indian tech story.
Yeah, and he fostered this profound belief that Indians could compete globally, shoulder to shoulder with anyone, without compromising their morals.
Which brings us back to that initial idea.
Right. In a world that often seems to reward the quick fix, the shortcut, Murthy's journey really suggests something different, that true, lasting success might actually demand a deeper, sometimes harder commitment to principles.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it?
It does. It leaves us with a thought, maybe for everyone listening. What does it truly take for ethical conviction to triumph over that lure of immediate advantage? Not just in business, but really in any endeavor you undertake.